Hey guys, Ron here. My question for you guys is which topics and categories would you like me to do future scopes on? I'm showing you the RonOrr.com site right now, and I'm showing you the different the slider images of the different blog articles that I have on different topics. Greg, good to see you. I am wondering which topics you would like me to do future Periscopes on. At this time, it's going to be on how to get followers on Twitter, how to get followers on Periscope, which usually leads to more Periscope followers. And then also, I'm going to be always giving Periscope tips, but moving in the direction of working headlines and how to get more followers with your funnels with headlines, utilizing headlines. When I say headlines, hey Greg, boom, yeah, I'm looking for just some topic ideas of what you guys would like help with, questions that you may have, and looking to give everyone some answers and what kind of topics you guys would want. More specific topics than just like Periscope tips. That's kind of general. I want to give you guys some good blog articles. I want to give you some good videos. Put some of the videos on the blog articles, which I'm starting to embed now. I've got a way to repurpose these headlines. Area of expertise, good question. I've been around internet marketing off and on for about 20 years. I've been around real estate for about 13 years. I've done a lot of real estate marketing over those years. I enjoy building funnels for people, getting live phone call leads for people. I enjoy getting live people on for another client of mine. I enjoy getting a good reach on Facebook. I am now helping them with the Twitter following to try to get traction on that as well. Hey Fofita, how's it going? How you doing? And so that's kind of my area of expertise. Just been around marketing for a really long time. Okay, good. Glad you're doing good, Fofita. Yeah, I dabble with a little everything. I've been around the marketing for a while. I like to think of myself as somebody that gets paid more for what I know, more on a consulting role, more for... I think I specialize in the headlines as they relate to funnels, and I don't like to just say, well, I do Facebook and I do Twitter, and in the doing part of it, it's more about the knowing part of it, because we can stay busy all day long, just doing. I could write 100 blog posts today, but it's really about specializing what's actually working. So that's what I'm saying. If you guys want some different topics in the future, let me know, and I will be happy to do some more Periscope topics for you. But for now, the future ones are going to be about headlines, and how to utilize the headlines and incorporate them into all of your marketing funnels, from blogging to Instagram to Twitter to Facebook to Periscope to YouTube, and how to repurpose all your headlines so they get shared all over social media. So if you write one good headline, you can use it over and over. Headlines would be, headlines can be anything from the image to the hashtag in the headline, to 3 easy tips on Periscope, to how you write the headline, to the formulas of writing headlines, putting the hashtags in the headlines so that people retweet them, how to use headlines to get the most amount of clicks on Facebook, headlines for blog posts. Yes, I think the best concept is actually to invest your time on learning the formulas of headlines, and the reason for that is there's a lot of platforms and a lot of multi-channels on the internet nowadays. So I'll give you an example of kind of how I've aligned my time, and this has taken a lot of years to practice to get to this point. But like, I'll create a Periscope video, and then it automatically saves to catch.me/RonOrr. So if you go to catch.me/RonOrr, all of my videos automatically get saved on in there. So then I have a guy from Fiverr who goes on to catch.me/RonOrr. There you go, right there, catch.me/RonOrr. He goes on there, finds my replays, downloads them onto his computer. Then he goes on to about 5 or 10 different YouTube channels. He uploads them to YouTube. Okay? And keep in mind that my Periscope, good to see you back, Lafita. My Periscope already has a headline, so I got to craft a good headline on my Periscope. And then that headline is going to automatically carry over to catch.me. He's going to see that headline, and he's going to automatically take that headline and upload it to YouTube. So now my headline is being repurposed over and over and over. Okay. And then what is going to happen is he's been given specific instructions from me on what the description should be about what I do with headlines and funnels on my website, RonOrr.com. And then he knows the keywords, that we call them keyword tags on YouTube, that I want to be found for. Okay. Then I'll take that YouTube video and I will embed it into my blog post. So you'll see my blog post again with the headline, and then you'll have the headline on the embedded video within the post. And then you'll see I also have subheads, which are called header 1, header 2, header 3. And I'm giving you some technical stuff right now, but the point is just you're using that same header across all the different multi-channels, from Twitter, all the social networks, from Twitter, and then so then basically you have the blog set up now, right? And then at the bottom of the blog, when you go to the end of the blog, you'll get the social share link, so you can share it on Facebook and Twitter, and everybody else is going to share it on Facebook and Twitter, Pinterest, and all those other sites by email. But what happens is the headline stays intact. So I just gave you about 10, and then not only that, people are going to link to your blog article, and then when they use the anchor text, they're going to use probably your headline some of the times for the anchor text to link to your blog article. So you can see how your headline ends up getting repurposed and used on every social network, and it gets used by other people when they retweet it. It gets used, all the hashtags do. The hashtags are embedded, and your YouTube videos are embedded. So your headline, the reason you want to make your headline good is because it ends up getting used like 7 or 8 different times in 7 or 8 different networks. Thanks for the hearts. And it gets on so many different networks that you just want to make, hey, Fafita, thanks for all the hearts. And you even got the pink hearts. Did you go back in and out until you got the pink hearts? Be honest. You did. You went out and went back in so you could get the pink hearts. I know you did. But anyways, yeah, so that's how it works, is you use the headlines over and over and over. And if you ever study headline formulas, you'll find out that a lot of the experts online, so these articles will get shared on Facebook and get shared on Twitter. And the way the viral marketing works on the internet, you could have one headline that gets seen by 100 people, and if you fix the headline, just a couple words on it, you could get seen by 10,000 people. So I have some on one of the Facebook pages. I had three posts in the last 24 hours, and those 3 posts got between 130 and 290 shares so far in less than 24 hours. That's a lot of shares on Facebook, and it has a lot to do with just the audience and stuff like that. So I just wanted to give you guys a heads up. We're up to 3 to 4 different colors of hearts right now, so that's great to see. Flora, thanks for the pink hearts. Greg, thanks for the hearts. Rosalie, thanks for the hearts. Hope you guys can check some of this out on replay. So at this time, I believe if I were to sit you down and say, you know what is the best use of your time? Obviously, building relationships, getting to know people is very helpful. But if you're going to leverage your time online and meet a lot of people, yes, it does. Yes, the headlines get you a lot more followers. Signups, I will talk about that more in a growth hacking funnels in the future, because you really want a lot of referrals as well before you even get to the signups. The clients that I work with that pay me, they pay me to help them get traction and get more leads and more people to view online meetings and some of that kind of stuff. So I have to build the funnel before it gets to that point. And I'll do another one. Look for the headline of growth hacking funnel, that one specifically. I've done replays on that in the past if you want to look for it too. Okay, great. Glad you're on the site. I'm a big believer in the growth hacking funnel, and then I'm a big believer in the headlines as well. So the other thing too about blogs is, like, I've been kind of studying SEO, search engine optimization, for about 7 years. And I actually saw a lot of friends that were getting to the top of Yahoo about 15 to 18 years ago. 8 years now, so I'm just wondering if the juice is worth the squeeze. Yeah, the maximum squeeze is all in the headline. So I don't know how much you follow SEO, but like with the blogging and the WordPress platform, for example, I mean, I've gotten to the top rankings before in literally 24 to 48 hours on long tail keywords, and it's really the headlines and the URL. The URL is just a mirror of the headline, and then the header 1, header 2, and header 3 are just your sub headlines. And I know I'm telling you some stuff that's kind of technical, and it's not is fun for some people. SEO, I'd rather have root canal than do SEO. I only do video SEO. Yeah, video SEO on YouTube is probably what you mean. And yes, here's the thing about SEO is like I don't like to talk about most of it because I've studied it off and on and read tons of articles on it for many years. And I was even like coming up with some of the ideas that other well-off friends of friends came up with probably 18 years ago almost on Yahoo when they got to the top of Yahoo. And I kind of figured out what they were doing, and a lot of it was in the URL. But here's the thing. I'm the kind of person with SEO, just tell you, like, just forget 95% of the details out there and just actually just, like, focus on the headlines and focus. The URL will come from the headline in WordPress. And then focus on the H1, H2, H3, which is the header 1, header 2, header 3. Those are your sub-headlines, okay? There's a post on Facebook from a few months back. Yeah, I love WordPress. Been using it for years. I spent too many hundreds of hours trying to understand the programming design of it, and again, waste of time. All I had to do was just focus on the headlines and stuff. But so you'll see in the article here, right here, this is your H1. That's your headline 1. That's your sub headline 1. Okay, this right here, that's your sub headline 2, and then down here, that's your sub headline 3. A lot of what I'm telling you is fairly technical, and I realize that it doesn't sound super exciting and interesting. As you spend more time online and you find out how many things change and you find out how many things don't work on the internet, you'll get a lot more excited about headlines. And when I say headlines, I'm saying everything from the subheadlines to the image that you use so it shows up on Facebook. I have to have my programmer customize this so that this image will show up as a large image when it's shared to Facebook. So all of that kind of stuff is put into account. These hashtags are there on purpose because I want people to, when they do tweet this, like for example, if you scroll down here, this is all carefully crafted here. Okay, so when you scroll to the bottom here, you'll see that people can tweet right here, right? They can tweet it. That's a good question. What's my cost? Here's the thing. I got a guy that just uploaded 221 of my catch.me posts, 221 of my catch.me replays on Periscope onto YouTube. He does all the headlines, titles, descriptions, everything for $80, and I get them off of Fiverr. Fiverr with 2 R's. I love Fiverr. I've done 500 gigs or more off of it over 5 or 6 years. The main thing I do is I write blog posts myself because I enjoy doing them, and I enjoy the headlines. Level 2 seller, great. I don't know specifically all the different seller types on Fiverr and how it all works, but when I try to be the guy that did Fiverr jobs in there, I could never find enough that got me 20 or 30 gigs a day. So that was if there was enough demand to do it. So I'm really big into the headline part of it. I help another guy in real estate with Craigslist. I've been doing that. Here's the thing too, I'll say too, is every platform I work on, from Craigslist to Facebook to Twitter to everything, I've been on them for 7 to 15 years. So as much as the internet's changing, the stuff that I'm doing right now, with the exception of like Periscope and a couple things, it's been pretty much working for about 7 to 15 years as far as providing leads, or I've had the Facebook accounts for a long time and all that kind of stuff. So in answer to your question, I don't really have much overhead at all. I like to write my own blog posts. I like to fine-tune my headlines. I like to learn about headlines. I like to teach what I believe in. I like to teach what actually works on the internet. You get credit for using your post. I don't know what that means. I don't know what you mean by that, but I look at it as do a blog post and then imagine that blog post with that headline is going to get syndicated, and you're going to do a lot of the syndicating. Okay, graphics, video editing, all that. Okay, that's cool. I hire this guy to do the video editing because it really doesn't cost me much of anything to do it. The graphics, I actually went to college for as a graphic designer. I didn't necessarily think it was the best use of my time if you can make a living doing it that way. I like scalable concepts, so I feel like a lot of companies or a lot of people I work with, they either own companies or they have enough gross income coming in that they need leverage on the sales part of it, on the top, what we would call the top of the funnel, where they want to figure out how to get more sales in. So what I do is I help them with that part, and I raise more awareness and I reach more people online. And I just find different mediums such as Craigslist or Twitter or whatever we have to find to get them more traction in the beginning part before they start to connect with people. So a thing that I do a little bit different than some internet marketers is I like when companies are big enough that they have either employees or enough cash flow where they have money for advertising and they actually build relationships with people in the offline world. So like a real estate agent, he'll talk to the person 100 times over 200 times or 100 times over 5 or 6 months. That kind of concept works a lot better for me because they spend that much time with them, they make a lot more money, like $5,000 to $10,000 commissions. And then we all have more money to play with to be able to work the sales funnel. Whereas when people are selling stuff for $7 and $27 online, there's just not as much money to play with. But I do think video editing and graphics and all that kind of stuff are very important. I'm very big in growing the funnels, and the funnels are grown on all the social platforms nowadays, which are your Instagrams and your Twitters and Facebooks and the blog and all of these things, and they all play off of each other. So it's actually very cool how they all dynamically play off of each other. And getting back to the headlines, the reason the headline's so important is you can have the greatest video or the greatest graphics or the greatest blog article with the greatest video and the greatest graphics. But if your headline's not very good, then nobody ever sees it. So you end up having the greatest content in graphics and video that were never seen. So the headline's very important. To even go a level deeper on Facebook, I've had with these posts where I say these posts are shared 250 times, I have posts that have reached 18,000 and 25,000 people in a few days. That if I create an image or a quote with the wrong celebrity, or where what I say is a little bit off from what they're thinking, it's just kind of like, yeah, that's gonna, like, some people are gonna get it, like most people aren't gonna get it. It won't get shared that many times. I have to use just the right celebrity that people like, or just the right quote where everybody identifies with it, and then just like, oh, I so identify with this, I'm going to share it with all my friends, and then birds of a feather flock together. So then their friends also are like, yeah, I totally relate to this, and then it goes viral and it just keeps getting shared more and more and more and more. So that's where the Robert Collier post that I had from before said, enter the conversation already going on in the customer's head. So, so I'll give an example. Fofia, who's on, if she's still on right now, let me double check if she's still on right now. Yep, she's still on. So an example of a headline with her business, I don't know how well Craigslist works for her. I know a guy that was doing a lot of fences on Craigslist back a few years ago. My brother connected me with. He was doing a lot of fences, and he was extremely busy, young guy. He was on Craigslist, And so, example, you could do a headline on Craigslist. They do decks. They do decks. They can do fences and stuff like that here in Minnesota. You go on the Minnesota part of Craigslist, and you can. An example headline would be "Decks done cheap," right? That's not a bad headline, but another one is, I'm not thinking one off the top of my head, but fear a deck collapse, call for an estimate or something like that. And then what happens is you're actually getting people who actually fear that their deck's going to collapse or it's falling apart, and they're more apt to make a decision quicker. Or your deck is stripped down. Your deck is stripped painting, embarrassed in front of the guests during the party. What you're trying to do is you're hitting that emotional point where you're thanks, Fafita. What you're doing is you're trying to enter the conversation already going on in their head. Okay, so a lot of people try to win this game by saying decks are cheap or decks are 20% off. But what happens is you might be attracting the wrong people. You might be lessening the value of your services. What you're really looking for is you're looking for people's pain points. So if somebody, like for the deck thing, deck has a hole in it, reduce liability, call a deck specialist today. It's not a great headline, but you get what I'm getting at is with more time of reworking it. What you're trying to do is you're trying to find the people that have the fear of the embarrassment of their decks stripping the paint, or they got a hole in their deck, or it's falling apart, or there's nails sticking out. So you're basically trying to find people with problems, and you're trying to word it in such a way that they relate to it. And then when you write that headline, what happens is people have that going on in their life, and as they're scanning through headlines on Craigslist, they see that where it says deck nails sticking out, it's a big liability or whatever, and they go, it comes to the surface again, and it's like, you're right, there are nails sticking out on my deck, and it's been bothering me for a month. And they're like, oh, well, this person's thinking like I'm thinking. So then they open the post, and that's where the person's like, I just want to make this go away. So then they call, and then they have somebody work on their deck. So you can play around with those headlines a lot, and just tweaking the words a little bit could get 10 times as many people to open the post, which can get 10 times as many phone calls, right? And then once you get them to open it, you can use more of those sub-headlines within the Craigslist post to keep basically agitating or basically say you got nails coming out, there's liability, there's holes in your deck, it's stripping the paint, people are, embarrassed to you're not having a party because on the deck because, it's an embarrassment because all your paint's stripping off, you got nails poking out and everything else, and just kind of build into that, and then eventually you get to the point where you say, well, it's easy, text or call today. I get a lot of leads from text message. I'll just tell you that right now. I get a lot of leads from text message. So that's your call to action, and that's just one example of how the headlines can work, and you just got to make sure you have the right audience. The right audience is on like Craigslist and the Minneapolis part. So that would be an example of how the headlines work. So I got more Periscopes coming up soon, guys. Thanks for all the hearts. See you soon.